Coleman Hughes makes a very good point. He says, look, all lives matter. There's a problem with all lives matter, which is that for the last 5 years, it's more often than not been used as a clapback against Black Lives Matter. Black Lives Matter protesters come up and they say, look, it looks like there's racial bias and systemic in policing. Black lives do matter. Can't we change that? And people say, all lives matter. Don't say that. Coleman Hughes says, no, that's not a good way to use that phrase. It's a profound moral insight that all lives matter. Don't weaponize it in this way. He says, all lives matter could be a unifying slogan for an American population that is fed up with police brutality, with arbitrary application of force, and fed up with it happening to Black people or white people. So if it's not a clapback, if it's a join in, hey, Black lives matter. That's true. So do Chinese lives. So do Indian lives. So do Irish American lives. So do all American lives. Let's try and fix things. That'd be good. And just one more note on the data. Things have improved in terms of police brutality, certainly in terms of police brutality against Black people. The finding of Professor Fryer that Black people are less likely to be shot than white people becomes much less surprising when you consult the data of the Mapping Police Violence Survey, which is better than the Washington Post survey for various reasons, one of them being that they include non-officer involved shootings, people who get killed not necessarily by a gun. So they've got a larger set to draw from. And they find that in 2015, I just want to look at this number to get it exactly right. In 2015, 78 Black people, unarmed Black people, were killed by the police. In 2019, that had come down 64% to 28, and the same in 2018. So 64% reduction in that. White unarmed people being killed by the police, about double that, 52. So some of these cases, I think, some of these cases certainly are going to be like Tony Timper, like George Floyd, unjust. Some of these cases, just because the person's not armed doesn't mean they're not a threat to society. Investigation should be happening. But the overall trend in the last 5 years has been an accelerated decrease in the deaths of unarmed Black people at the hands of the police. And if you stretch that out, as Coleman Hughes does, over the last 30, 40 years, it's even more extreme, the decrease. So I think although that kind of all lives matter anti-police brutality movement hasn't had the traction in the public square that it might have had, it has been taking effect in the actual administration of justice, and in particular in the actual administration of justice, there's been a serious decrease in the deaths of Black people. And I think that's something worth drawing attention to, because another thing that Black Lives Matter does, which I think is extremely unfortunate, and now I'm talking about the global network side, the side that's winning in the culture war, is that they denounce all signs of progress. Their thesis is that progress is not possible. And part of the reason for this is that history is on their side. If you look back to America 250 years ago, then certainly Black lives were not being treated with the respect that they deserve. So any evidence that's happened since then is only to be welcomed if it reaffirms that nothing has changed. Evidence that reaffirms that things have changed are ignored, and like ignoring science in general, ignoring actual practical engineering as opposed to science, sort of as a study, engineering as an implementation of a solution, evidence that solutions have been implemented that have made things better is willfully ignored because it undermines the basic ideological principle that we are still in 1776 here.